The flash will stand for me, and they can't take that away. Well, at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget all those nights who said that I lived free, that I don't know. Make for good, the peninsula go far. What you gonna say? On the falls of California, there's a village of Granada, from California to Sydney.
Sorry, sorry.
But there ain't no doubt in this island. The blood will be
Mr. Mendiola's loved ones, friends, and colleagues have joined us today to share their memories in his honor and remembrance. I'd like to open up the floor, starting with Ms. Teresa Ariola, the Director of Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center, to share a few words in memory of Mr. Mendiola.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you, NSW Guam chapter, for arranging and finding the space to really pay tribute, not only to all the social workers that deserve much more than we can ever thank and be grateful for, but this time of space to share memories with about Ricky Mendiola. Ricky was definitely somebody at Guam Behavioral Health that is going to be hard to forget and is greatly missed today. His enthusiasm to help people and his great big heart is really what you see when you speak to him and what you feel when you speak to him. And so last year, I just want to share a little bit. Last year, summer, when Governor Leon Guerrero declared, put a state of emergency, or an executive order, not a state of emergency, an executive order for Guam Behavioral Health to stand up a Guam Behavioral Health services at DOC. And that basically meaning that we are going to manage all the services that the inmates at DOC will be receiving from Guam Behavioral Health. Our first inclination when speaking to our team was who would be the best person to fit and run the program. And unanimously and wholeheartedly supported the recommendation was for me to appoint Ricky Mendiola. Why? Because Ricky's background, he used to work at DOC with the RSAT program, and he knew the Guam Behavioral Health System as a psychiatric social worker. And so it was just so appropriate for him to be named the program manager for what we're going to stand up, and we're working on standing up shortly. So when Ricky passed, he was already working and spending a lot of time at the Department of Corrections, making sure, putting the first steps together so that we can, as a department, stand up appropriately the services that our family members and residents of the Department of Correction needed. And so despite the fact that, unfortunately, he spent a lot of time there in the last couple of months, being the liaison between Guam Behavioral Health and DOC, working with all the DOC employees that he had a relationship with already, and making sure that we did this right and harmoniously. When he passed, we really felt the void, because he was a very special person that was named to run the program there. And so I just want to say a very special thank you to May, Mendiola, your children, and your family for sharing this wonderful for sharing this wonderful man with us, because he was just the right person to help us begin the footing and setting the foundation of what Guam Behavioral Health is going to be standing up and serving at Department of Correction. And so he is greatly missed today at the department. And I know that he's looking down at all of us and basically saying, just give your heart and soul and continue to help one another and help our clients that we serve. So I want to say thank you again to May and the family, and thank you, NSW, for separating the time or putting away the time to give great tribute to Ricky Mendiola. I also I'd be remiss if I did not say, Ricky was proud to be one of you, proud to be a social worker. So I just want to say congratulations and thank you, all social workers on Guam. Without you, you really are the conduit to services for our clients. So thank you very much. And thank you, Mendiola family, for sharing Ricky with all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ariola, for those words. Next, we have Ms. Sylvia Kanata from Behavioral Health Adult Counseling Program, who will share a few words as well in honor of Mr. Mendiola.
First of all, let me just explain really quickly. I worked with Ricky for the last couple years. And in the last couple years, we have gone through a lot of change in the department. And one of his great desires was to continue to assist at the DOC agency. So as we were, like the director said, putting our program together, he was so excited to get us merged together because of his knowledge while being there. And then when he transitioned to us, he more or less put all the ideas together, and he was really excited to do the work there. But let me just back up a minute and describe him in a couple of words. First one I would say is he was very passionate, and dedicated in doing his work. When he first came in and, he started to get assigned consumers, right? He would just get right into the swing of things. If you assign him in the morning, by the afternoon, this guy had already called up the person, reviewed their files, and then he will come and tell me, hey, everything's done. This person's good to go. He's ready for therapy. And then he'll say, is there anything else you need me to do? So he's one of those people that a supervisor will love under their belt, because he's just constantly motivated to do the work. And not only did he want to do it, he really enjoyed what he was doing. And that was really an eye-opener for me. And it really touched, especially in this line of work where you are working with people and people's lives, and you have to be very compassionate and very empathetic. So he's very passionate, dedicated, and he's such a team player. As him being like one of the older people in our branch, he would always go over and check on the younger folks, and he'll say, hey, what's up? Is everything okay? Such a team player. When he sees things are kind of lagging, or that he knows that we need help in some way, he'll say, hey, what do you need me to do? So I really miss that, and I really miss that camaraderie and that passion in him. And we're truly going to miss him in our branch right now. We will never forget. Every now and then we'll look at things around in that office and say, yeah, that was Ricky, or, so we'll never ever forget him. And we thank May and the family for sharing him with us. I'm sure when he got his ticket, to go up to join our Lord, he was probably saying, hey, Nenganadza, I'm still trying to merge the two agencies together. Are you sure? Because I really want to do this work. So with that said, we really miss him. And I know he's looking down on us, like the director said. And I know even from up there, he's trying to help us to move along, especially with this all this work that we're doing with the pandemic. So we thank you, Mendiola family, for sharing Ricky, and we will miss him, truly miss him. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sylvia, for sharing that. We also want to give Ms. Therese Camacho Teama of the Department of Corrections an opportunity to share as well. As both Ms. Sylvia and Ms. Teresa mentioned, Mr. Ricky did work at DOC at some time in response during the pandemic. So Ms. Sylvia, Ms. Therese.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I want to congratulate NASW for putting together a wonderful conference. Thank you for giving us this moment of reflection on the life of Mr. Ricky Mendiola. Thank you, Mrs. Mendiola, for having shared Mr. Mendiola with us. And I want to thank also Director Ariola, as well as the Madame who just spoke prior to this, in giving such a beautiful eulogy on the part of Mr. Mendiola. I cannot, you basically all touched on point. And as I'm sitting here thinking, I want to pull together the things that we've been listening to and learning the past 2 days, and how this ties in with Mr. Mendiola's life as far as being an essential social worker. Part of the 2 days we learned about networking. I know Dr. Chima talked about that, and how they were able to gather through from experiences and networking with people on a national level and locally, and as well as with other government agencies. And Mr. Mendiola had shown concrete examples of that while he was here at the department. And we mentioned that he was working with the RSAT program. He was very passionate about that. And one of the things that I really appreciated working with him was his thinking outside of the box, his enthusiasm, and his creativity and ability to network. Two of the outcomes that came of that was how he worked with the University of Guam Department of Agriculture in putting together what we called a Garden of Hope. So he worked with Miss Phoebe, as well as with DOA to Department of Agriculture, to give the participants or the consumers in our program something to look forward to, something to nurture, something to grow, and something to which they can see the fruits of their labor. And it was a very successful project, and that is something that he had started and that we are going to be continuing on for the term of for the current cycle that we have going. Another example of Mr. Mendiola's excellence in networking was also him working with the Department of Labor, the Trades Academy, and a bunch of our other community partners in putting together the very first job fair. And it was pretty successful, and it received a lot of reception from the community. Of those participants, we had 100% higher rate. And as a result of that, also one of the volunteers that he had worked with, who had been here for a long while, we were able to pick up for the program. Another thing that I gathered from this conference the past 2 days was we had to talk about our own mental health, our own need to rest and relax and regroup, and how it was very important for us in order for us to refuel and recharge, we needed to have one thing that was mentioned was a belief system. Mr. Mendiola had one, as you can see during the montage, that he was there with one of the Carmelite sisters, who happens to be his daughter. So when we look at the process, even with his child, we know that that's not something that grows overnight. That is something that is nurtured. That is something that we bring through examples of our life. And the beautiful thing about that belief system is that he has given us, through his children, the gift of giving, the gift of evangelization, and the gift of hope. Another thing that I can say is that Mr. Mendiola was a very compassionate and very entertaining individual. We saw how he was singing. We always enjoyed whenever we had that free time that he would entertain everybody with his beautiful voice and his his talent with writing music. And we really enjoyed and appreciate that a lot about him. One thing that I do that I'm grateful for is that Guam Behavioral Health, from the time that there were talks about with the executive order and Guam Behavioral Health establishing an annex, it is true that Mr. Ricky Mendiola, like a warrior, ran toward the door wanting to come over to the department because he knew what he had to offer and he knew what he could start and he knew what it would take for us to bring this to fruition. Mr. Mendiola, on the first day that he came to our office and he said, ma'am, I just want to let you know that when I left DOC, I wanted to come back, but I'm glad to be back in this capacity. And I want you to know that it's the second year to the day, the anniversary of the last day. And I'll never forget what you said, and it came true. And so I was so happy to share that with him. And I said, you know, Rick, if you have a lot to offer, you will always be wanted everywhere and anywhere, but I'm only much happier that you're back here where you belong. And so I'm so grateful that we had him for a little bit of a time, and everybody here from Miss Ortiz, Miss Charfris, Miss Tovis, Mr. Paris, the GMH clinic, our nursing supervisor, Miss Pauline Lazama, our warden, Colonel Borja, our director, Carbolito, our deputy Camacho, we were all in unison excited to have Mr. Mendiola back. We've worked with him before. We know his work ethic. We know his dedication. We know his enthusiasm and his loyalty. And it was just so sad and sudden that we lost him prematurely. So in his memory, I think about this poem by an unknown author about, and I'm sure you all have heard this before, a reason, a season, and a lifetime. And when I reflect on that, I'm not going to read that here now, but I hope that if you look back and at that poem and you try to realize where Mr. Mendiola fit in our life, I would like to say that he was here for a season and he was also here for a reason. And in that, I just want to say to Mrs. Mendiola, thank you very much for allowing him for sharing his life with us. And although he was here for just a season, the reasons were clear that he's going to leave behind so much more for us, and he will be missed. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Taylor, for sharing that with us. Today, we also have the honor of having Mr. Mendiola's family joining us today. We have his loving wife, Ms. May Mendiola, as well as his children. We're going to give them the opportunity to say a few words as well.
Hi. First of all, I just want to really thank everyone because, you know, we are still in disbelief, and I feel for all the families. I really, really want to thank all of you, and this is with deep, deep humility on behalf of my family, our children, Heather, Sister Sarah, Rye of God. Her name is Jacqueline, and Ricky Jr., and all our, you know, my son-in-law, Ben, and our daughter-in-law, Emma, and our 3 grandchildren, and especially from Rick's siblings. They are all in the States. Paul and Ada, Rudy and Tammy, Dina and Frank, and their brother who passed away the same year as their mother, Victor. I just really want to thank everyone. You all are excellent, excellent. The world needs more social workers as you, all of you. Our goddaughter, our first child, Robin Uggan Cruz. She's also one of the social workers there, a counselor at ORDOC. My husband is so very, very proud of all the children, of Robin as a counselor, all his children, all his colleagues. He loves all his bosses. He has deep respect for all of them at Guam Behavioral and also at DOC. Linda and Therese, Mrs. Ariola, and I'm sorry, Sylvia, Therese, Ariola. But thank you to all, and also Dr. Mary. I'm telling you, he'll come home excited with zeal. He's not tired. He's like revving up for the next day. He loves all of you. And that's why I say on behalf of all our families and myself, we deeply, deeply thank you with humbleness. And I know Rick, with humility, he would say, what's all the fuss and muss? I still have his work, all his work that he had planned for DOC, and I already told the director. Also, I'm sorry, also Clarissa, the deputy. I just want to thank all of you, but I had told all his bosses that I want to show them whatever Rick has, that they probably have it already, because Sylvia and I believe the director told me that Rick was quick to after he finished his work or something, he would turn it in right away or share it right away. So I don't know but I'm going to give everything that he has. But thank you so much. Thank you for everything. Take care, everyone. Take care, everyone, and God bless us all. And I do thank especially the governor, the lieutenant governor, for really, trying to take care of all the people of Guam. God bless us all.
Thank you, Ms. May, for sharing with us. And thank you again to you and your family for sharing Mr. Mendiola and for his public service and for all that he did. We truly appreciate not only Mr. Mendiola's service for so long, but your family's allowing and for your service by standing by his side in all his work. So thank you so much for that. We'll just take a quick second, a quick moment of silence just to remember Mr. Mendiola. So if we can all bow our heads in a quick moment of silence. Thank you again to Mr. Mendiola's loved ones, his family, friends, and colleagues for joining us today and for sharing your memories and your experience with him and his honor and remembrance. In the chat, there's so many messages saying how much he touched people's lives, how he was an amazing counselor, and how his impact on this island community. So we can't say it enough, Ms. Mendiola, to you and your family. Thank you so much for everything that he's done, that your family continues to do to keep his legacy ongoing. So thank you so much. And thank you to his colleagues and loved ones who also shared their stories today. And once again, thank you to the NASW Guam chapter for hosting this beautiful memorial in honor of Mr. Mendiola. His selfless service and commitment to social work will never be forgotten and will be remembered in the hearts and work of his loved ones and colleagues and all of those that he has had the opportunity to cross paths with during his time.